Hello and welcome to Elevate 2022. My presentation for today is creating a software as a service application with PowerServer 2022. My name is Filiberto Sosa and I'm a developer at Sizes and Colors of Mexico. Let's start with the presentation. Disclaimer, please read on. Okay, let's continue with the presentation. The agenda for today is the following. Okay, first of all, we are going to explain the structure of a software as a service application. Then the example that we are going to show, it's a point of sale for companies running thousands of stores. We are going to create the PowerServer project. Once that we have our Power Builder application, then we are going to create our PowerServer project and show you how it's deployed. Then we are going to connect to a database using a connection cache that we create at deployment. And we are going to configure the application to read the connection cache from that database. In this case, we're going to be using SQL Server for the storing of the connection cache information. We are going to create the connection cache dynamically for every customer, and we are going to change the connection cache at runtime. About myself, well, my name is Fili Sosa, and my recent projects, we created inside our Power Builder application, we integrated with Shopify and WooCommerce to allow our customers to sell online. Also, we integrated our Power Builder application with WhatsApp using the Web API. And currently, we are migrating our ERP from Windows Server 2012, Microsoft SQL Server 2012, and PowerServer 2017. It's actual how it's running. So we are migrating to everything new servers, new Windows Server 2022, Microsoft SQL Server 2022, and PowerServer 2022. My skills, we've been working with Power Builder for 28 years, also my SQL Server, C#, and .NET Data Store. About our company, well, Sizes and Colors is a Choose Store software, and Sizes and Colors is an ERP software for chains of shoe stores. We've been building this software for 25 years in Power Builder, and Latin America is the target market. More than 3,000 stores run our software on a daily basis. It's deployed to the cloud at the data center in Dallas, Texas, and we are for developers using Power Builder 2019 R3. And in 2019, our customers in Mexico sold 80 million pairs of shoes, representing 30% of the commercial shoe activity. We are located in León, Mexico, and our sister company, Dora Sistemas, is the master distributor in Latin America for Appian. Okay, the SaaS application structure. The idea behind the software as a service is that the same application can run for many customers, each one on its own database. Also, the connection cache for each customer needs to be created on the fly, because when you create your application, maybe you have 5 customers, but you are going to keep adding new customers, so you don't want to be deploying the application each time you have a new customer. So this connection cache needs to be added on the fly. More than one connection cache can be created for the same customer in order to allow thousands of users to run the application more efficiently. So for example, here you have customer 1, and if customer 1 has 1,000 stores, maybe the first 10 stores are going to be using one connection cache. From the store 10 to 20, it's going to be using connection cache 2. Store 500 is going to be using the connection cache 50. So this way you keep different stores on different connection cache so you can have thousands of users with no problem. In the SaaS application structure, well, there is a need for a central database to hold information about the connection cache of each customer. So in this case, we have many databases. We have the database sizes central. In this database, this is the database in which the application connects always the first time and gets information about the connection cache, the customer, and from that point, then you change to that database according to the customer. If customer one wants to access the application, then you're going to change to this database. If customer two wants to access the application, then you change to the second database. So when the PowerServer project is deployed, the connection cache for the central database is created. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go very fast on the slide so we can go directly to the demo, and we are going to do everything, all the steps. So create the connection cache in the PowerServer project. We're going to define the provider, SQL Server, the name of the cache, the host, the port, the username, and the password, and we are going to connect to the SaaS central database. Also, it is required to have at least 2 connection cache. For example, I'm going to have the SaaS central database to deploy my my project, and also I'm going to have the connection cache for my first customer. So I'm going to follow the same screen to create the customer one. But imagine that you have 1,000 customers, 2,000 customers. You don't want to be creating each one of the connection cache just manually right here. You want those connection cache created on the fly and dynamically. When you create your PowerServer, well, PowerServer project, it's you go to projects in Power Builder. There is a new tab right here. It's PowerServer. It's a new project, and then with PowerServer you can create cloud apps. The new PowerServer 2022 features a web browser based in Chromium, and there is no dependency on Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, or Mozilla like in old PowerServer versions. So going back to PowerServer 2020 and older versions, your application needed to have Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, or any other Chrome. But what about if they have a new update on the browser? So maybe your application would stop running. So with PowerServer solves that problem because it's implementing the Chromium technology to create its own web browser. So we don't have any dependency on the other providers. Once that you deploy your PowerServer project, you need to do a few changes in the configuration. I mean, you need to know anything about C#. Just need to follow these simple steps in order to the PowerServer can read the configuration from SQL Server. So you just need to uncomment these lines. I'm going to go to the file app config extension C#, and I'm going to show you in the example. So this is also you need to go to the app config JSON. In the app config JSON file, you need to provide the connection string. Here in the app config, you are going to tell the file in which database the tables are going to be created. And in those tables, we are going to have all the information for a connection cache. Here is basically the connection string. The tables that contain the connection cache information will be created in the database sizes central when the PowerServer API gets deployed. So we have the connection strings, it's app config, we have the data source, the port, the name of the database in which those tables are going to be created, a username and the password and everything. And if you can see here, when you create in Snap Develop your server APIs, when you run it and deploy the project, Then these tables are going to be created, the PowerServer application config, PowerServer connection config, and we have those tables created right here. You can take a look at the PowerServer connection config, and you're going to see that the connection cache that you created by default are going to be stored on this table. You have the host, the port, the database name, the username, and the password for that database. And when you create new connection cache using the PowerServer API, then we are going inside Power Builder, we are going to create our HTTP client, then we are going to specify the URL. So PowerServer provide this API so you can add one connection cache, and you need to provide all the parameters in the JSON variable. So you say the name of the connection cache, you say in the configuration the connection type, the host is, you pass the parameter of the host, the port, the user ID, the password, and the name of the database. You can specify the pool size. I have defaults right here for the demo. And then we call the HTSN, set the request header. It's an application JSON. Then we send the request using a post. We send the URL and the JSON. So with these lines of code, the new connection cache it's going to be created. Then once that you have the connection cache, maybe every time, so you are not creating the connection cache every time. Maybe we created this file to say if the cache exists. So basically we disconnect from the SQL CA. So we specify, since our connection cache information is stored in the sizes central database. So we put here cache name sizes central, and then we connect. We do a select and we go to the PowerServer connection config. And if we find that connection cache, that we say that the connection cache already exists, and we return true. Okay, when we create the connection cache, as I told you, every 10 stalls we share a connection cache. And the connection cache assigned, I'm going to get the store. For example, if I have store number 100, I divide it by 10. So I'm going to have 10 plus 1. I'm going to get the connection cache number 11. The connection cache is going to be the database plus the number of the connection cache assigned. If, for example, sizes customer 1 will have connection 2, and sizes customer 1 is going to have connection 100, I'm going to show you later. So right here, I'm going to call the function that I told you. If the connection cache does not exist, I need to create the cache. So I call my function create new cache. I'm going to send the name of the cache as a parameter. I'm going to send the host. In this case, is default Elevate 2022, my host, my username, my password, and my database. Once that the cache is created, then I'm going to connect to the assigned connection cache, and I'm gonna I specify that in the DB parm. Cache name is the name of the connection cache, and then I use connect. From that point, I'm inside the application, and I can run it. Okay, let's go to the demo and then questions and answers. Okay, I'm here in my server. And this is my application. It's a very small application. I just have a login screen in which I told you this is the first screen that we get, in which we need to specify this customer. So as I told you, the idea behind the software as a service application is that with one application, the same application can be accessed by many customers, by thousands of customers, and each customer can have thousands of stores. So you are going to specify here the customer name, username, password, and then the store. And here is where everything takes place. We are going to, as I told you, when the connection first connects, it connects Where? Well, it connects to that. Remember that I told you that when we create our PowerServer project, we specify the connection cache that's being used as a SQL CA. So that's why we don't need to specify any parameters right here. We use to specify connects, and it is going to connect to the database sizes central. As you can see here in the sizes central database, we don't have any tables that in which all the connection cache is stored. So we are going to create those tables. Okay, we have our application. So we connect to the application and then open the login screen. And then when you open this screen, you're going to specify the customer, the username, the password, and the store number. Okay, here in the login, okay, you get the database. The database is the name of the, you're going to specify customer one, for example, right here, customer one. I'm going to have customer one, and then I need to add sizes and underscore. So I have sizes underscore and then customer. So I told you that every 10 stores we share a connection cache. So we get the store number, we get the connection cache assigned, we have the store number divided by 10, and we are going to have the connection cache. So the connection cache that I need to access or to create, it's the name of my database plus the connection cache assigned. Okay, here if not exist my connection cache, then I need to create it. I'm going to create it right here. And then when I create the connection cache, I'm going to connect to it and I'm ready to do it. Let's go to, I'm going to create the PowerServer project. Well, I did full build. Let's go to new. I'm going to create a PowerServer project. And I'm going to go very fast right here. It's PV SaaS. I'm going to do a test number 5. Oh, I think I have test number 5. I'm going to do a full view build. Okay, 32 bits in advance. Basically, specify the libraries and the server setup is going to be on the local server. I'm going to test the path. It's fine. In the server configuration, I need to upload my app launcher. That it's a browser that I told you that Appian is using. So it's its own web browser, so we don't rely on Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, or any web browser. I already loaded, so it's okay. It's uploaded to the server. That's it. What's the server configuration? Right there. Okay, everything is good. In the web server, in the .NET server, so we have right here, I'm going to run on port 5055 because I'm using those ports. Localhost, that's it. In the advanced, I'm going to use here a new solution, is PV SaaS test number 5. PV SaaS test number 5. I'm using .NET 6.0. I'm not using any auth service right now for the demo. I'm going to the database. As I told you, we need to create our connection cache defaults. So I'm going to create my sizes central because I need to connect the first time, connects there. Elevate 2022, 1443. It's I'm gonna see right here my database. Okay, so this is going to sizes central. I'm going to test my connection, and connection is successful. Okay, that's one connection that I have. If I go to the advanced, as you can see, my SQL CA transaction object is mapped to sizes central. So that's why I told you that when you open your Power Builder application, You don't need to specify any parameters because it already knows that the SQL CA is mapping to Sizes Central. Okay, I'm gonna create another cache, for example, for customer one. All my customers are using SQL Server right here. So I'm gonna create Sizes customer one, Elevate 2022, username, and I'm gonna connect to Sizes customer one. I'm gonna test my connection, and I'm gonna go okay. So I have these two connection cache. As I told you, if I have 1,000 customers, I will need to go manually to add each connection cache. And if I have new customers coming to my application, I need to create more and manually and then deploy the application again. And we don't want to be doing that. So for my startup, okay, I'm gonna go to my localhost port 80, PVC SaaS test 5, and shortcut is the best POS. Shortcut name. So here it's my PowerServer project. Download the app files. I'm just going to go for the defaults. And that's it. I think I'm ready to go ahead and run my project. Okay. I'm going to deploy my PowerServer project. I think I need to do a change before the connections. I think I did that. Change the port number. So it's 1595. Okay, let me go. It's 1595. Let me go to the port. Server. It's 95. Okay, it's okay. So here, if I run the application, I'm gonna get an error because it's not reading the information of the connection cache is not reading it from the database. Okay, here I'm going to go to customer one. And it sent me an error. Okay, because my configuration is not being read from the database. So I need to change that. Here it's telling me where the problems are. So that's where I'm telling you that we need to open our project or C# solution in Snap Develop and do a few changes. Okay, so Snap Develop is the C# editor that Appian is providing us to create our web APIs in C#. So you open your project here. So you go to the app config and here's your JSON. Here you need to provide, I already have that values in this file. So I just need to copy here the parameters. I'm just going to copy this connection string. So here I'm telling my C# project that it needs to create the tables for the connection cache information in the Sizes Central database. I provide all the parameters to connect to the database, the username and the password and everything. Okay, so I'm done with this app config file. Then I need to go to this app config extensions. And if you can see here, we're using this part in order to do the configuration. So you can get rid of this. And basically here it's telling that you need to uncomment the script below if you want to read the configuration from SQL Server. So we need to enable all this configuration. Context configuration, it's equals to configuration. That's the first line. The second line, it's content app config directory. It's your telling to go to the app config directory. The hosting environment is the hosting environment, and that's it. So you uncomment all these lines, and then your PowerServer project, once that we deploy it, I'm going to, if you can see here, if you're using a database different from SQL Server, you will go to uncomment this. If you're using PostgreSQL, you will need to uncomment this. If you're using Oracle, okay, let me delete Postgre. I'm gonna delete Oracle. I'm not using it. MySQL, you will need to uncomment that. If you are using SQL Anywhere, if you are using Sybase ASE, if you're using Informix, and if you're using SQLite. Okay, I just need the configuration from the SQL Server. And that's it. I just need to save, and I'm gonna run my project. If you can see here in my Sizes Central database, let's go on the tables. I'm going to refresh. So I don't have the 3 tables that I told you that the information for the connection cache is stored. So I'm gonna build my project. And you can see there are no tables yet. And then I'm gonna run my server APIs. I'm gonna close this. So that's it. Then we go to the Sizes Central, we refresh, and that's it. We have our 3 tables in which all the information from the connection cache is stored. Since we define 2 connection cache when we created the project, so we have the information for our two connection cache. In the connection cache, you define everything: the host, the port, the database name, the username, the password, and the number of connections in the pool, etc. So now we can run our project. Basically, I can close this. I don't need to use Snap Develop anymore. So I basically go to my Power Builder project, and that's it. I'm gonna run the project, and that's it. We have our point of sale software right here. If you see, we have the connection cache for customer 1, but not for customer 2. Okay, so we go here and say, okay, I'm going to connect to customer 2. There is no database information. And I'm going to connect to the store number 50. This customer has 500 stores, so it can have many connection cache. So store number 3 is going to be, it has been created successfully. And then we are inside the application and we have a report. So this is very, very simple report that I'm just showing you a data window with the information of sales. And I'm showing you a graphic using eChart. That's a nice thing with PowerServer 22 that you can use this type of graphics. And that's it. So that's the application. That's very simple application, as I told you. But now we have customer 2. We have the first connection cache for customer 2. But what about customer, if customer 2 access the application, but also the nice thing about PowerServer is that you have your icon right here. So as I told you, we don't rely on a web browser. So basically, you have your application right here. Okay. So I'm going to go to customer two, but now I'm going to access store 500. I'm going to log in, and we created another cache for that customer. So if we go and refresh our table, we have a customer and it created the connection cache 51. So what I'm doing right there is that, for example, if I have 10 stores are going to be using this connection cache, and another 10 stores are going to be using another connection cache. If I go to the store, for example, let's run it again, point of sale, customer 2, and I'm going to go to store 200. So I have another connection cache. I'm going to refresh, and I have store 21. So as you can see, every customer can have many connection cache, and with this, the performance of your application is better because it's the less connections that each connection cache handles, the better. So you need, for example, we use like for every 50 stores, we use one connection cache, but it depends on the number of stores of your customer. So that is going to depend totally on you. If I go to, let's suppose that now we are customer number 3, and then I go to store 50 in customer 3, I create the application, I access my application, and customer 3, and the connection cache number 6. So you can see we can have many connection cache. So that's basically the purpose of my presentation. So you can see the structure. When you have a software as a service, you're going to have a central database in which you hold the information of your customers and also about the connection cache. And then you are going to have one database for every customer. So you can have thousands of customers, thousands of databases, and using the same application. So I'm going to be here to answer questions. I think it's a very interesting topic, and I will be delighted to answer the questions for you. Thank you very much.